You wouldn't open someone's confidential mail.
Confidential.
And you wouldn't film someone in the shower.
Confidential.
But what about the slaughtering processes in an abattoir? Are they confidential? Let's take a look at the ABC and Lenah Game Meats. In that case, an unknown person or persons unlawfully entered and placed hidden cameras in Lenah Game Meats abattoir to capture footage depicting their possum slaughter process. The footage was supplied to Animal Liberation Limited, who passed the footage on to the ABC with the intention that they broadcast it. Lenah sought an interlocutory injunction to restrain the ABC from broadcasting the footage on its current affairs program, the 7:30 report. Whilst the ABC was not involved in the trespass or the installation, it was aware that the footage had been obtained surreptitiously. The case made it all the way to the High Court, with Lenah claiming, amongst other things, the slaughtering process was confidential and broadcasting the footage would breach its confidentiality. The ABC claimed that Lenah had no cause of action against it, justifying an order preventing the broadcasting of the material. The court found favour with the ABC, with Justice Callanan dissenting, and Lenah's claim for an interlocutory injunction was refused. So how did the court reach this conclusion? Well, let's look at the elements of the law of confidentiality. We know from the case of Coco and Anne Clark Engineers Limited that what we need is a necessary quality of confidence, information being received in circumstances which give rise to an obligation of confidence, and actual threatened use of information. Well, I guess we can tick off element 3. Clearly the ABC was threatening to publish and broadcast the footage without Lenah's consent, which would adversely affect Lenah's business, causing them financial harm. So let's look at element 1, the necessary quality of confidence. From Ansar Rubber Co. Proprietary Limited and Allied Rubber Industries Proprietary Limited, we know to satisfy this element, the information has to be secret, so once it enters the public domain, the quality of confidence is lost. We also know from Douglas and Hello Limited, an English decision, that the information sought to be protected has to be identified with specificity. So what was the information that Lenah was seeking to protect? Chief Justice Gleeson held that it was the slaughtering process adopted by Lenah, specifically the images and sounds recorded on the film, not the film itself, which was merely the means adopted by the trespassers for obtaining, recording, and communicating the necessary information. So did this information have the necessary quality of confidence? Well, Lenah Game Meats conceded that the information about the processing was not confidential, but they argued that the specific images and sounds of the slaughter process caught in the film were normally hidden from public view. Chief Justice Gleeson disagreed and found that in the absence of any measure of protection by Lenah Games to restrict access to the property, the ease with which anyone could enter the property and view the activities therein was no different from any other private or commercial property. Justices Gummow and Hayne also found the process was so well known and orderly conducted within the slaughtering industry that it was in the public domain. Let's look at element 2, which requires the information be obtained in circumstances giving rise to an obligation of confidence. Specifically, circumstances in which a reasonable recipient would believe the information was given in confidence. The High Court in Lenah Games confirmed that this includes circumstances where information has been obtained improperly or surreptitiously. This is why Lenah Games is such an important precedent to focus on. It really hones in on the legality of publishing information that has been surreptitiously obtained and the extent to which innocent third-party media outlets can be restrained from publishing such information. Information is obtained surreptitiously by photographic surveillance of private acts, but Chief Justice Gleeson found that in these circumstances, the activities on the private property were not private. He looked at, amongst other things, how the slaughtering processes lacked any measure of protection from the public gaze, and how the characteristics of the property were the same as any other manufacturing property, i.e. accessible to the public. Justice Callanan dissented to this. Justices Gummow and Hayne looked at how the ABC was a mere third party in the surreptitiousness, and found that in these circumstances the ABC could not be enjoined from using the information or was not involved in any legal or otherwise improper obtaining of it. So the slaughtering process was not
Confidential.
and the ABC would not be breaching any obligation of confidence upon publishing or broadcasting the material. So what can we take away from the case? Well, there is an obligation imposed on someone who obtains information surreptitiously or improperly to keep that information confidential. However, the obligation will not be enlivened if what is being filmed is not private, albeit being obtained from private property. The obligation also does not extend to innocent third-party media defendants who had no role to play in the improper obtaining of the information.